Let's get straight into it and have this conversation, a roundtable with change makers at the forefront of youth-led environmental action and sustainable agriculture. Joined on the line by Raymond James Ntabazi, who is project coordinator at the Green Africa Youth Organization. This is a youth-led, gender-based advocacy organization working at the intersection of climate resilience, circular economy, sustainable agriculture, environmental sustainability. And the work is cross-regional, which is wonderful. So all across the African continent. And this afternoon, he is joined by Jemimah Kasibbo Babirye, who is project manager at GAYO in Uganda. So we're going to be just getting an update, catching up with these two wonderful humans and getting an update on GAYO's programs, initiatives, and I'm hoping that this will inspire other young people who are listening, who are also trying to, through whatever work that they are doing, reimagine agriculture, reimagine climate smart, practices and community empowerment in a whole new way. Thank you so much to the both of you, Raymond and Jemimah. Thank you very much for joining me. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having us as well.
Thank you so much. Perhaps can we briefly start, maybe let's start with you, Jemimah, in terms of how you would describe the work of Green Youth, the Green Africa Youth Organization. Talk to us perhaps about the mission. I think that is key, the mission, and some of the focus areas of the work that you do.
Thank you. Okay, so technically Green Africa Youth Organization is, earlier, like you mentioned, a gender-based organization, a balanced organization. We are African-centric, and our origin is from Ghana, Accra. Currently, we have our operations within Uganda, where Raymond and I are representing, and Botswana, right? We work around, our key thematic areas are mainly around community-driven climate action. And these are like promoting zero-waste cities, where Raymond coordinates in Uganda through reuse, recycle, repair, and like a shared responsibility. And as well as strengthening adaptation and resilience within Africa by building local capacities to respond to climate impact, supporting a just transition by protecting workers and ensuring vulnerable communities help shape sustainable economic futures. And lastly, where I come from, we have the Green Jobs thematic area, where its main aim is to drive climate solutions while strengthening local economies and long-term well-being. So technically, our entire mission is about creating a world where human beings can live hand in hand with the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a little bit about it. Maybe to just add on, under our Green Jobs, we have the Youth Climate Council Initiative. It's a global platform that is dedicated to promoting inclusive youth empowerment in climate policy to advance youth-led advocacy across regional, national, and international platforms within Africa and out of Africa. So technically, that's it with GAYO and some of our main projects.
Okay, sounds absolutely wonderful. James, you and I have spoken previously. At the time there was a lot of activity on the ground around eradication of pollution and really getting places to be clean before they are regreened, if I could use that term. But as I understand it, just following our off-the-record conversations, you are also engaged in recent training for radio broadcasters that's aimed at rebranding agriculture for youth audiences. I'm very interested in that project. Talk to me about what inspired this particular initiative and why the focus on media engagement specifically.
Yeah, thank you so much. So just to go down to that project, it was specifically looking at building capacity for the youth-centered circular regenerative agriculture programs, and these were specifically the radio broadcasters all the broadcasters, like I earlier mentioned to you. And one of the things that we're looking at is that Uganda, and when you look at our population here, almost 70%, 75% are youth under the age of 30 years. And we believe, being that our backbone is agriculture, many people perceive it as an outdated and risky and unprofitable sector. So by sharing that knowledge or sharing such information to people that are in communications, this perception, we believe that it would really engage the youth in climate smart as well as regenerative agricultural practices in Uganda. Because Uganda currently is facing the climate variability, food insecurity, and of environmental degradation. So our CRA project, or the Circular Regenerative Agriculture project, was here to offer a viable path to address the youth unemployment as well as climate resilience. And of course, bringing on food systems that are sustainable through low input, resource efficiency, and the restorative practices. There are a number of things that we have discussed there, but I don't know if that answered the question. But I'm as well ready to take on any follow-ups as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Raymond. No, I think you answered the question, particularly in terms of just the importance of involving voices that can speak for people that can't speak for themselves. And media is a good place to start. And also in translating exactly the issues that you just mentioned around, climate adaptation, which is very important, and not just in Uganda. But just to use Uganda as an example. But perhaps this next question, the both of you can answer in terms of just some of the biggest barriers that we are currently seeing that are keeping young people from engaging in matters of environmentalism and even agriculture. Let's talk about what those big barriers are, and also perhaps how GAYO is addressing them, especially at this time.
All right. I think I'll lead, and then Raymond will come in next. The main aim of the training we had last week, actually, was to increase youth listenership for CRA broadcasting within Uganda. Why was this very important to us? In addition to what Raymond earlier mentioned, we are a very big number of young people living in Uganda and Africa at large, right? But then you notice with the shift of social media platforms, broadcasting, radio listenership is going down, especially for the youth, right? And we thought it's actually important that it goes up at this critical time, because in rural areas, radios and broadcasting is still a very prominent communication platform, right? But to the youth, just like to answer your question, the main issues that are holding them back are, should I say, kind of primitive at this point, because you'll listen in Africa, in Uganda particularly, they would look at agriculture as dirty. Agriculture is for the poor. Agriculture is not for the land, right? Agriculture doesn't give us as much money as we want. There's not so much exposure to people, like they're creating the right connections. You don't get that from agriculture. There's no direct link to technologies or the improving technologies when we are working with agriculture. And that cuts across to advocating for climate and our environmental sustainability. In most cases, youths feel like this does not have a lot to do with us because we have just come in. The shift has already started happening. So what do you want us to do, right? And I think that is the main aim. That is the main reason we are being held back as youths. And also there's a very big gap in communication. A very, very big gap. We do understand that our governments have policies outlined, right? We have several policies. In Uganda, we have several policies, but implementation is poor because we don't have specific communication platforms dedicated to pushing this information to the youths in different areas, to the youth in the rural areas, to the youths in the urban areas, right? And to the youth in the urban areas, in all the different classes. We don't have that specific communication platform. And then you'll notice that, for lack of a better word, in Africa as a continent, we have knowledge to specific people. And these people, if we shall say, if they're the land people, they don't create platforms where other people, the young people, or people that are not yet well conversant with the knowledge can take part in such initiatives, right? So we believe that under GAYO, we believe that empowering youth is one of our biggest modes of shifting the narrative and communications. For example, I'll tell this to you, away from the training we had last week for broadcasters, last year as the Youth Climate Council, we led the training of our youth negotiators in Uganda. And we created a space where the lead negotiators, the senior negotiators of our climate change department came to teach the young negotiators what is climate change, what are the different thematic areas that Uganda is keen on understanding, right? And we believe that creating such platforms is the best way we can change the narrative and actually create more attractive spaces that youths can take part in. Yeah.
This is wonderful. Perhaps Raymond, you can give some thought around just based on what Jimmy has been sharing. And let's talk about GAYO integrating digital platforms into storytelling, because, these young people are on their phones. We want them to listen to the radio. I want them to listen to the radio. But how are we going to integrate that into perhaps other digital forms of storytelling and really spreading the message and educating and getting young people to be involved in agriculture and in matters of environmentalism? Very important conversation that we are having here around the programs that are and initiatives that are running under GAYO, looking at Uganda as an example, a little bit of what's been happening under this umbrella in Ghana and in Botswana as well, where you can find this cross-regional organization. Young people are doing amazing things, reimagining agriculture through media, climate smart practices, and community empowerment. Raymond, I wanted you to just pick up on where Jimmy left off in terms of the importance of education and the traditional forms of media, radio being one of them, that are being used to really sort of entice young people to listen to what's happening and what is possible in agricultural spaces. So following what she said, how does GAYO then integrate other forms of communication, perhaps digital platforms for storytelling alongside the traditional media like the radio that Jimmy is talking about, so that we can connect young people and young audiences? Because at the end of the day, we're looking for effective ways to get the information across.
Yeah, thank you so much for that follow-up. I would say that GAYO has been really so intentional on using the digital era to both amplify and share knowledge and mobilize the youth around different thematic areas like Jemimah said. And I'll be more specific when it comes to that. Firstly, storytelling and advocacy has really been one of the things we've paid attention to. And I'll be a little more specific in this. Last year, we had a project with one of our partners called Be Inspired by Stories in Africa. And this has really been centered on storytelling, where we trained close to 500 founders and change makers within the sustainability sector. And by doing so in Uganda specifically, we're looking at how can we share such stories or such successful stories out there for other people to know through our social media channels and different publication media channels. And knowledge sharing, we've had a number of toolkits going out there in terms of campaigns or in terms of knowledge sharing avenues or trainings. For example, we've had X Spaces or Twitter Spaces. We've participated on webinars. We've participated on trainings here in the country. And looking at data in terms of knowledge sharing in this case, we have also been able to publish different information or publications. And the current one that I'll pay attention to, or that I'll specifically is the Green Jobs Handbook. And the Green Jobs Handbook that we recently published is so intentional to everyone in the community. It is looking at the policymakers, looking at people that are in the business, looking at the change makers and everyone, because it has the information that can aid the community to live sustainably when everything is so good, or what we call a just transition. And this was all done by GAYO. Then how have also been able to leverage our knowledge sharing through the different partners. For example, Gaia, that is the Global Alliance for Internet Alternatives. We've participated so much in their knowledge sharing campaigns or programs because we believe we are looking at being a center of circular economy, a center of climate action, a center of just transition, a center of green jobs. So we've been able to share out there the knowledge that can bridge the gap between the online and the offline spaces in this case, and ensuring that all communities are served. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you for that. Jemimah, let's talk about just some of the success stories. Obviously Raymond was able to paint a beautiful, broad picture about, other spaces to try and get messages across, which is really at the heart of the work of GAYO, especially at this time where there's just so much, AI is just churning out all kinds of information, but there's no wisdom. So you are the restorers of this wisdom. Let's talk about some of the success stories, young people, communities that have been positively impacted by the programs that GAYO is running.
Thank you. I'll start from what came on the top of my head, just like Raymond shared, is currently, we were able to publish out our Green Jobs Handbook.
Yes.
For Uganda, this is quite important and very close to home because we have so many young people that come up to create platforms or small initiatives to just help them create a small livelihood alternative. But they do not sustain themselves for a long time because they do not know the procedures in which to follow, or they do not know the right people to connect with. So we came up with the Green Jobs Handbook, and it has been received with quite open arms, which is a success story to us as GAYO Uganda, because it has come out at a very important and prominent time, right? In addition to that, under the Youth Climate Council, like I mentioned, GAYO is quite intentional in inclusive empowerment of youths, right? Not only just youths in general, but people living, young youths living with disabilities, or in all their different capacities, and then also being included into the government policies, because we do not want to have right-minded young people without the right seats or without being included in the right platforms. So last year we had the training for our youth negotiators, and from that training we were able to create the 2025 youth and children's report that was shared at COP30 from Uganda, right? So that was also a success story from us as well. In addition to that, as GAYO, we've been able to support different sustainable initiatives by young people in Uganda. For example, we supported the Eco Bricks. It's a
beautiful.
It's an MRF initiative within Uganda where they do recycling, and we gave them some funds to scale up their works into a different region within Uganda, and that is something we're very passionate about. In addition to that, we were able to have trainings under our Zero Waste platform. We had about 5 trainings of women-centric initiatives to create to empower young women within the zero waste societies in Uganda with skills they can leverage to scale up their already existing initiatives into bigger and, better platforms. Yeah.
Okay. Jemimah, talk to me about how you are funding the running of GAYO. I'm very fascinated to know what the funding model is and whether it is currently working, and if there's any additional support that the youth organization is looking at for 2026 and beyond.
Oh yes, I think support is always needed, and we are very, support comes in so many ways. So we are very grateful to Channel Africa, because this is also supporting itself, creating a space for us to share what we have done and our success stories. Genuinely, as GAYO Uganda currently, we are supported by our mother organization in GAYO Ghana, right? But we do seek support with other entities, both government and non-government entities.
Right.
For example, in Uganda, we have been supported by GIZ, by UNDP, both in financial support as well as technical support. With our climate change department, we always work around technical support, because they always give us the best trainers. Right. So that's how our support currently comes in, and we're very open to support as possible, both financial and both technical. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that gives us comfort. And, people need to get hold of you if they would like to offer any kind of capacity building resources, and, whether it comes in the form of money, which would be wonderful, but any other support that you can give to such initiatives, you need to get hold of GAYO, and we'll give you the details as we wrap up our conversation. But Raymond, just to bring you in as well before we wrap up our conversation, just perhaps your message that you would like to share for young Ugandans, young Africans actually, who might be, sitting on the fence when it comes to getting involved in these types of sectors, whether it's agriculture or climate action or, just transition matters, as you mentioned them, those types of fraternities, conservation, another big umbrella that is a supporting space. What is your message for young people in terms of not only why it's important to get involved, and not to guilt them into getting involved, but really to see how fulfilling this work can be, especially at this time?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think at the time of rising unemployment and the climate pressure, I believe that coming together to take on this challenge could be a collective effort. My message to the young people is to embrace change, the just transition, and to change our mindsets. That could be one. Second is to really go out there, be so resourceful, know about what is trending, get the information and the knowledge like GAYO is doing currently. And then thirdly, I would say that as advocates, we really look up to sharing all this knowledge, and being a platform like Channel Africa has done to us. We also envision that we shall reach this level when we can host the youth to share their story or to share their impact, and so on. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a brief of what I would say for now.
That's a very impactful message. And for you, Jemimah, what's your message in terms of getting young people involved? And I reiterate that we're not trying to guilt trip young people into involvement, but for them to really just see the light, because the future is really in their hands, and what they participate in or choose to participate in could make or break the future of the continent, as it were.
Oh, I think that's the best message. And you literally shared a message that they should know. What they do can make or break the continent, right? I think as young people, we should stop looking at it as something that might help the entire continent, even though it will. Look at it as if it's something that might help you, right? If advocating for your home, your bedroom makes you happy, it puts you in a better space, it makes your parents happy, then what would it do for the entire continent? Just think about it, right? And then let that push us. Because at the end of it all, in these changing spaces, honestly, the support may not come knocking at your doorstep. And we should be ready for that. That means we need to start knocking on the right doors. We need to start speaking the right language and presenting ourselves in such a way. So as a young person myself, I think I want to pass out 2 shouts. The first shout is to all young people. Put yourself in a position where you can access the right thing at the right time and with the right people. And to the right people, those are our development partners, our government partners, our civil society organization, and well-wishers at large. Please put us on those platforms as well. Like, if we come knocking at your door, open them. Because unlike before, young people are quite intentional, especially within Africa. And that's not a threat. That is a good thing. So please, we are willing to learn and we are willing to, improve ourselves. So open those doors for us. We are ready to make the change. Thank you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with the both of you. And man, the work that you're doing, just the quality of the workmanship and the stewardship, actually, because you guys are not just program manager and coordinator, you are actually stewards of this work, stewards of the land, stewards of the voices of young people. And we're truly blessed to have young people like yourselves that are heading such big organizations. I mean, when I see the work of GAYO and I listen to you speak, I feel all kinds of hopeful. So if you want to just have a look at the work of GAYO, they are on the internet. They've got a big internet presence that is optimized. So if you just go on Google and type GAYO, which is GAYO, the website will pop up. Okay, greenafricayouth.com is the website, and you can have a look at the work, get to know the team a bit better, maybe even join the revolution, because this is what it is, right? It's a revolution. Join the revolution, find out how you can get involved and how you can give back. Okay, so greenafricayouth.com is where you can find them. Jemimah, Raymond, thank you so much to the both of you. I'm hoping that this won't be the first and last time we're speaking in 2026. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciated connecting with you this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Raymond James Ntabazi, as well as Jemimah Kasibbo Babirye, who are from GAYO and representing the Ugandan wing of this cross-regional organization. Isn't it wonderful to hear what you just heard? Young people really doing what they need to do, and also inviting you as an African person, whether you are listening as part of community of the diaspora or whether you live on the continent. This should be inspiration. This should serve as inspiration. And if not inspiration, maybe you can push your investment button and put it in organizations of this nature so that the work can spread and continue in this manner.